All right, here we go. Hi, everyone. Before I get started, first and foremost, if you want to chat with me, you can chat with me via Twitter, which you can see right here on the right side screen, also my Instagram. You can also contact me via my email address as well, which I will display at the end of the presentation. I also apologize for the echo in the room. I'm in my house, so to find a nice space to myself is sometimes a little hard. But anywho, thank you everyone for being here. Before I really get started, I just want to say shout out to the Balticon team that put this together on this online platform in such a quick time. It's probably was a Herculean and still is a Herculean task to do. So I thank everyone who has helped me get here. That also includes Lisa as well, Lisa Adler, who is the programming head here at Balticon. She is the one that discovered me. So thank you to Lisa for allowing me to be here, have this opportunity. All right, so my name is Javon Goard. I am a fifth year or approaching my fifth year as a doctoral student at Indiana University at Bloomington. And today I'll be presenting Joyful Rumble, Black Joy in Video Game Culture. And this kind of stems from my own, I would say, frustration a little bit when it comes to the presentation or representations of Blackness in games and also in physical spaces as well. So on the docket, there are three main objectives that I have. So the introduction of the concept of Black joy, a brief history of African Americans and Blacks within gaming spaces, as well as contemporary African American and Black involvement within the games industry and esports as well. So, gaming culture provides both online and offline spaces in which African American and Black identified people can express Black joy beyond just a form of resistance against the dominant hegemonic force within society. Most, if not all, talks that I give are segmented via levels. So let's start with level 1. What is Black joy? So typically I would like to ask people what they believe Black joy is, but honestly, let's just ponder that on your own a little bit. And I would love to hear your thoughts and comments at the end of the presentation about what you think Black joy is, either as a concept or to yourself. Blackness is a socio-political identity that has been put out on display for mockery, vitriol, and death, especially under both Obama administrations and the Trump administration. Historically, Black bodies have been used as tools for entertainment and owned as property for capital gain, to put it very lightly. We see Blacks codified throughout history, one of which being here in the census. Here's a picture of the 2010 census, which you can mark off your race as Black, African, American, or Negro, which has since been removed for the 2020 census. Also, the struggle for equality continues. Though the arguments and the language people use may change or vary across time, the focus is still the same. A fundamental dismantling of an oppressive white force that continues to blame Black folks for its misfortune within America, though America brought it upon itself. Unfortunately, not new at all, and frequently document are acts of police brutality. Shown here is Philando Castile, a protest happening outside of Minneapolis over a police shooting, in which Philando was killed in his car of July of 2016 with his girlfriend in the passenger seat and the daughter in the back. Officer Geronimo Yanez was acquitted of all charges in June of 2017. And unfortunately, on March 13 of this year, 26-year-old emergency medical technician Breonna Taylor was shot and killed in her home of Louisville, Kentucky by the Louisville Metro Police Department. The investigation is still ongoing about what happened on that night, Of course, tracking and frequent slaying of Black bodies is nothing new, for America was founded on such actions that have never been atoned by those in power. And this is not scratching the surface of the many forms of oppressive actions enforced on Blacks in America. While dealing with death and despair, Black folk have formulated a form of resistance against white hegemony and racism by uplifting, cultivating, and bringing to the fore positive actions, better known as Black joy. This definition is based on my own reflection and understanding of the term. Though I am still unclear of the origins of Black joy as a concept, however, the term has been pervasive within digitally mediated spaces. The term hashtag Black joy has been quite prevalent in social media, especially during times when African Americans, Black folk display certain actions that are deemed entertaining or worth praise and adulation. In July of 2019, Halle Bailey was announced to play the role of Ariel in the live adaptation of The Little Mermaid, with many in support of her role, as in this tweet. Under the Black Joy hashtag on various social platforms, one can see several themes related to sexual freedom, pride in oneself, education, art, and many other forms as well. There we go. So here you can see across different platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, what Black joy means or how is it expressed through social media. In this Huffington Post article entitled Black Joy is Black Resistance, Reverend Roger Greer stated, Black joy dances in the face of armed officers, sings in the presence of death, and shouts down systems of terror. Black joy is the spirit of liberation that inhabits Black bodies in church services, defying order of rows of pews for spontaneous joy. Reverend Greer also states, we will not be crushed because we know that while the history of white supremacy is long and triumphant, white supremacy itself is not the last word. Joy is. Powerful sentiments referring to Black joy as a method in which to cope, deal, and thrive within an oppressive system via the church as a site to express such joy. In a Flair article by Hadia Rodriguez exclaims, simply put, Black joy is unabashed enjoyment of Black culture without apology, hesitancy, or shame. Furthermore, they state Black joy is also rare because the mainstream media would rather focus on Black pain. However, this is where I disagree. Black joy is not rare. Black joy is expressed through a myriad of spaces and places which I will address shortly. I firmly agree that positive expressions of Blackness is not highlighted enough within mainstream culture to be the default outlook about Black identified people. Black joy should be so much more than just about the opposition to anti-Blackness. Director of African American and African Diaspora Studies at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, Dr. Javon Johnson, I love the first name by the way, expounds upon this article, Black Joy in the Time of Ferguson, by discussing Black joy as an epistemology or theory/method that is not about enduring certain struggles. Johnson exclaims, Black joy allows us space to stretch our imaginations beyond what we previously thought possible, and allows us to theorize a world in which white supremacy does not dictate everyday lives. He discusses venues in which Black folks commune to celebrate, such as house parties, backyard cookouts, and I would add church, the skating rink, and burgeoning spaces like the annual Balticon held in Crystal City, Virginia. Johnson believes that these spaces and actions performed by Black bodies provides the feeling of what a Black utopia might be like. And in this video, it's the Naptown Real Rollers based in Indianapolis. And I recorded this video when they came to Bloomington, Indiana. Still one of the greatest nights I was so very happy to be a part of. Lastly, Johnson exclaims, Black bodies harbor knowledge, and in these very moments, every smile, head nod, hip shake, and high five is an exchange of embodied truths that Black joy is phenomenally transformational. Gaming culture is such a space for Blacks to express these moments. The games industry is an environment in which Blacks have been and continue to be integral in the shaping of gaming culture. Level 2, gaming history is Black history. Blacks within gaming history is sparse due to lack of documentation and accreditation, either by news publications and or by the companies themselves. However, several African American folk played significant roles in the early days of modern gaming industry. Gerald A. Lawson, better known as Jerry, was born December 1st, 1940 in Queens, New York. Lawson is noted having a strong interest in electronics, which led to him teaching himself about engineering. He attended Queens College and City College of New York. Lawson also went on to work for several tech companies before moving to Silicon Valley, and Lawson is most noted for leading the design team behind the Fairchild Channel F in 1976, the first home video game console with removable game cartridges. Lawson passed away on April 9th, 2011, but left a lasting legacy within gaming. So more information here at the bottom. In the early 1980s, Lawson also founded VideoSoft. So Lawson was not only just a game designer, but he was also an entrepreneur as well, including many other things. Here's a screen grab of Karen Lawson, Lawson's daughter, talking about her father in this 2018 Game Developers Conference video. Within that same year, Xbox created the Jerry Lawson Grant for Career Development, which aims to help people who identify as Black and or of African descent. According to Sierra McDonald, a principal program manager at Xbox, the grant provided 5 indie game developers who identify as Black and or of African descent with GDC conference summit passes and an opportunity to meet with Kareem Chowdhury, who is the corporate vice president of Microsoft Gaming Cloud. There are also lesser known figures such as Dolores Williams and Dolores Bowers, 2 Black women who owned their own respective arcades in DC in the 1980s. Jacqueline Boucham, who worked for IBM as a staff technologist from 1986 to 1996, and as a general manager for Motorola from 1996 to 1994, founded this company called Energize Entertainment Incorporated in 2005. The company released a video game called Black College Football: The Experience on September 29, 2009 for the Xbox 360. It's a college football game that incorporates the football teams of HBCUs, and players can also participate in a drum line by synchronizing button inputs with the corresponding colors on their controller. The International Game Developers Association conducted a survey in 2017, in which out of the 963 individual responses that comprised of a 40% response rate from US-born professionals, a mere 1% identified as Black or African American. Though this abysmal statistic is not all-encompassing of the total racial composition of the games industry, this does suggest a huge lack of Blacks in game development, not just within the US, but globally. Here are a few folks that stand out with pride and joy within this 1%. Sarah Bond received her BA in economics from Yale University and MBA from Harvard Business School. Bond is currently the corporate vice president of gaming partnerships and business development at Microsoft. Dave Gossett is the director of advertising, of the Advertising Review Council, ARC, for the Entertainment Software Rating Board, ESRB. The ESRB is responsible for giving a rating on video games released in America, and ARC is responsible for how those games are marketed, television, billboards. That also includes videos on social media such as Twitch and Instagram. According to a documentary about the ESRB, Dave stated he has been a part of the ESRB for 20 years and focuses on content, and the content is usually in television spots, in trailers, in general audience videos, paid advertised videos for online use. Therefore, himself and his team are the final say on a trailer if it is suitable or not. In reference to that, he states, "One of the things I pride myself in is that I deliver a lot of bad news on a daily basis, like you have to take out this and this and this from your ad and your video, your trailer." Beyond this role, he's also known for his voice that many gamers may recognize. I'm gonna try to do my best impression. Rated M for mature. Right, like that's him. That's Dave's voice. So the next time you see a gaming trailer and they have that rated M for mature, chances are that's probably Dave's voice. There's also a space dedicated to people of color within the games industry called Game Devs of Color Expo. It started out as a one-day event in 2016, but now it's become a two-day event. It is a venue for people of color to show off their games, network, and celebrate the myriad of shades and hues involved in the games industry. Of course, due to the ongoing pandemic, this event more than likely will become an online event, but no official word has been posted on their site. Lastly, I would like to introduce everyone to Brass Lion Entertainment that was founded in the fall of 2019. Brass Lion is ran by three games industry veterans. We have Bryna Dabby Smith, who is the Chief Executive Officer and Executive Producer, Rashad Redick, who is the Chief Creative Officer and Art Director, and Manveer Ayer, who is the Chief Visionary Officer and Creative Director. As mentioned on their site, Brass Lion is focused on creating original fictional universes that center on Black, Brown, and other traditionally marginalized characters, cultures, and stories. Brass Lion is currently working on their first project entitled Corner Wolves. Corner Wolves is a fictional universe set in Harlem during the mid-90s, where Jacente, a young Afro-Latina, embarks on a mission to find her father's killer. Corner Wolves tells the story of young people growing up in the hood and how their lives are shaped and defined by the war on drugs as they caught between dope dealers, hustlers, and overzealous police. Corner Wolves is coming to multiple formats, including video game and podcast. Black folks have been and continue to be integral within the production of video games, even though there is much room for improvement in terms of diversity and inclusion. Despite Blacks working in the industry that may not reflect their ideologies, backgrounds, or perspectives, Blacks still find a sense of fulfillment and joy in gaming. This is evident in the current gamer player base. So level 3, gaming while Black, a snapshot. Modern video game technologies enable users to communicate via voice chat, instant messaging, and live streaming. However, gaming online and offline sometimes can be met with hostility, racism, and sexism all in tandem. Even with being in yet another space in which certain people attempt to dictate and gatekeep who is considered a gamer or not, two things are clear. Black people will continue to game regardless of someone's ignorance and be phenomenal at it. My apologies. This is evident in the myriad of ways Black gamers are reclaiming space and reclaiming their time, to paraphrase Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Founded in 2018, Jay Ann Lopez, who is in the middle in this picture, she founded Black Girl Gamers, which is a platform centering on cultivating a positive gaming experience for women of color. In a recent Glamour magazine interview, I think this was posted March 28th of this year. In this interview, she discusses how the BGG has been like a resource for people of color and for other folks outside of that as well for coping with the ongoing pandemic. Within the article, it mentioned that the BGG did a wellness week in which they stream more relaxing or chilled kind of games. And as the quote states in the bottom, JN expressed that BGG is an inclusive space for all folks. You just simply have to respect our rules, you're a gamer, and that Black women are not a monolith. We also have initiatives such as I Need Diverse Games, which is a nonprofit organization. I know the person that works for this, who started this, Tanya DePaz. And I Need Diverse Games is an initiative to support gamers or people of color who want to be in the games industry, as well as supporting folks to go to the GDC conference, which is known to be quite expensive to pay on your own if you're not a part of some large organization to front the cost for you. And it does a whole host of other things. You can also donate to this organization as well. I also want to highlight a couple of people. I have slight bias when it comes to the two people I'm going to show you right here. But this person right here is Dominic Sonic Fox McLean. They are 22 from Delaware and currently attend New York Institute of Technology. They have been competing since they were 13, most known for playing in Mortal Kombat 9, Excel, and MK11 as well. Dominic is also a 3-time EVO champion and won first place in Mortal Kombat 11 at CEO. And currently is worth, according to esportsearnings.com, currently worth close to $677,000. And lastly, this is Brad Scarvon. I try my best to find Scar's age, but if you know, then please let me know. But originally he is from Texas, currently is being sponsored by Endemic, placed second in the Mortal Kombat League for MKX, and won first in Mortal Kombat 11 in Combo Breaker. So, last part, gaming with joy. So, African Americans continue to fight, even for the most basic of civil liberties. In an article addressing white audiences by Delgary, they state, "To my community, being joyful is your activism. Remember that. Being carefree and Black with a smile on your face is the greatest FU to white supremacy. Mass incarceration, redlining, police brutality, racism, among other hindrances and structural barriers, impede the progress of all within the African diaspora. Simply put, to be Black is to encounter struggle. To be of African ancestry is to be a part of a history of struggle, strife, enslavement, and tribulation. However, to be Black is also to be part of a history of courageous, strong, and intelligent individuals who fundamentally shape the cultural landscape of American society." And we can see that come to fruition when it comes to spaces related to gaming or digitally mediated spaces, such as on social media. Here are 4 pictures that I took when I was at BlurCon last year. And surrounding everyone is nothing but games and the merriment and enjoyment of Black life. So I would like to leave everyone with these lasting words that Dr. Javon Johnson wrote in his article, Black Joy in a Time of Ferguson. He states, "Thick, Black, and unapologetic, like Big Mama's chili just spilling over the top. Too much spice for most people to stomach, but we like it that way." black like a fish fry, like a backyard cookout with some maize plain. We're all, but not really all, the black folks know the dance before it was even created. And we look at each other with that white folks cook in their backyards too, but they don't know nothing about this look. That black. And it isn't that we're all fighting for the right to be joyfully black, the audacity of it all, that in spite of Ferguson or Staten Island or Ohio or Mississippi or Alabama or Louisiana or Texas or anywhere else that makes racism sound like it's over there, that in spite of it all, we still smile and laugh and dance. That black. Not that we laugh to keep from crying black, but sometimes we laugh because it's just funny. That black. And it ain't that they think we magical in the first place. That despite every reason not to, we still have joy, black joy. We smile and live and love. We love, we love, we black, we love. Black joy is a specialized form, not in contention with an oppressive force. Folks of marginalized identities have always been and continue to be a part of the creation of games. Abysmally, there are still too little African Americans a part of the creation of games. In a world in which anti-Black rhetoric and imagery appears across a vast media landscape, African Americans will continue to find their own sense of joy for the survival and preservation of Black culture, and most importantly, for their individuality. Thank you, everyone. Greatly appreciate it. And there we go. There's like my smattering of stuff that you can get in contact with me. Right now, I know I ended this talk pretty much early, but this talk is really shaped in a way to be more conversational. This is my way of just pretty much spewing out there my thoughts about this concept of Black joy. So by all means, if you have questions, please pose your questions right now into the Q&A, and then I'll just address each one one by one. And if you, of course, have any more lasting questions or think your question is maybe too long for the context of this conversation right here, right now, just feel free to tweet at me or email directly, and we will go from there. All right, so I'll just wait for everyone to pop in their questions, and we can have this conversation. But as I wait for that, I just want to say, doing this kind of work related to Black joy has been an amazing journey. There's still a lot I need to learn. There's still a lot of things that I need to think about in terms of the conception, in terms of, is there a difference between Black joy as part of this digital mediated space, or is it a space in which I, as a Black person, inputs Black joy into the space, or can Black joy output, right, from the video games in and of itself? I believe it's kind of both in tandem with each other. And I'm still trying to develop that theory at the moment. But this has been quite the journey for me to really delve into. As you probably have noticed in the presentation, I didn't mention not too much, or didn't really show a lot of about the racism or sexism or vitriol by examples on here, but I did talk about that. But I wanted to make sure that this talk, even in its presentation, came across as simply just enjoying what Black people have done and continue to do within the games industry and a part of gaming culture at large. So I'm gonna stop talking and address some of these questions right here. All right, so what games related to this topic would you recommend? Very good question. Well, of course, there is Jacqueline Boucham's game that I need to get myself. Someone actually tweeted at me when I gave this talk at BlurCon 2019 and said that they played it and really, really enjoyed it. For me, I also am a fan of RPG games a lot as well. So I'm trying to think about like the kinds of Black characters that I enjoy thoroughly. Bake from Assassin's Creed Origins is a very, very good game. I haven't played too much of it, but man, the landscape is beautiful. And Bake is this complicated figure, right? Because he is both a father, part of the Magi. So, like this illustrious group of warriors to protect Pharaoh. At the same time, he's also a father, so he has to make sure he is stern at times when he needs to be, but also caring when he has to be. And I won't spoil anything else, but something dramatic does happen to him, and then the game starts to go off from there. And if I have anything else, I will say it aloud. All right. What games have you been playing during coronavirus? I've been playing everything. To be quite honest, I think. Let me see what I mean by that. Overwatch. Um, I still love playing Overwatch. That's the game that I just fell in love with. Bought it a week after its release in 2016 and never strayed away from it. Yes, I do have my moments where I just need a month break from the game, especially when they do certain changes to my characters, certain nerfs, certain buffs to my characters that I don't like. Eventually, I just get over it and play it anyway. I've also started playing Nier Automata. I love that game. It's such an expansive world. I love this whole um, interesting kind of narrative about cybernetics and also about cyborgs as well. These humanoid androids it's just very, very cool, and I love it. And recently with my friends, shouts out to Team Oven, we've been playing Uno. So going back to basics. So we've been playing Uno, we've been playing Monopoly, and most recently we got into Golf with Friends, which is way harder probably in game than in real life, let me tell you. So those are the games I've been playing. Thank you for the question. Next one. Has there been a notable scene of Black developers in the indie games community? If so, where should we look to explore these games? If not, if there is a possibility of gatekeeping and distribution systems like Steam? Thank you. Very multi-layered question. So I'll tackle the first one and then go from there. Has there been a notable scene of Black developers in the indie game community? I want to believe so. I want to say yes, as indicative of Brass Line Entertainment starting up last year. And of course, there's more likely other burgeoning spaces for Black developers to learn and foster and grow. As I'll show you here in the presentation, if it allows me to, there we go. So you also have Game Devs of Color Expo, which I've never been to, but I would love to go just as a person that, for me, would probably go into the games industry. So that is also a mode in which to engage. Is there probably signs of gatekeeping in distribution platforms like Steam? I don't want to call out Steam because I don't have any evidence to support that. However, if there is acts of gatekeeping, it would not surprise me. And potentially one of the acts of gatekeeping could just be more or less a financial burden or financial cost. Now, I won't say burden, but financial cost. And even beyond the financial cost, because I'm not saying that all Black people are broke. That's a misconception that needs to go away. But beyond financial, it could just be the fact that their game for some reason is not reaching the audience in mass that it rightfully deserves. So I would say for us as gamers, if we see a game development, an indie game developer, especially if they're people of color, we should promote their games. We should write about their games, right? We should uplift. We have to do that kind of work as well. No game is successful without the people that put the money and put the attention into it, and that includes a strong player base as well. Okay. Shouts out to Akil, thank you. I love the concept of Black joy. How do you situate it in terms of concepts like Afro pessimism, or even what do you think are the advantages of Black joy when so much talk is about the negative side of gaming? That's exactly my point, man. when I read works related to race and gaming, blackness in gaming, right, I know for sure what the chapter is pretty much going to be about. It could either be an ethnographic account, so the author themselves talks about the struggles that they've been through while playing certain games, or they are doing a content analysis of some sorts about representation, like blacks being represented in games, or they do interviews, right? I'm unfamiliar really about the term Afro-pessimism, but for what I've read thus far, yeah, I'm going to put it plain, it just sucks to always read works where when you read something about Black people and gaming culture, there's like a slew of chapters just related to how negative. By all accounts, Black people should not be a part of gaming culture at large because of how toxic it is. But yet, Black people are still here cultivating these spaces for themselves, right? Finding mechanisms and methods in which to only chat within themselves, right? Like this incubation that they do, whether it be just not going to the all chat into certain video games, right? Not using their voice, only being group chats with their friends. So I want to foster more positivity. I'm not saying to not have these conversations related to the vitriol related to Blackness in gaming spaces. That needs to be front and center. But what also needs to be front and center is the positive attributions, positive aspects, right? The great things that Black people continue to do and have done within gaming. Hopefully that answers your question. All right. How could game developers better support Black joy in character design? I want to ponder and really, really think about this, about my answer. Okay, so it starts with education. Spoken like the academic that I am. It starts with education. It also starts with learning what systems of advantages or privileges that you as a developer have, right? The own and implicit and inherent biases that you express. And then you take that, right, and then you start to do the actual work of trying to get yourself surrounded with a group of people, whether it be Black gamers, whether it be nonprofit organizations like I Need Diverse Games, right? Doing the actual work of reaching out to those people, not just solely based on the fact that they're Black, but they're also have been well versed in creating narratives to be input into video games. How do you design a character with Black joy in mind? I don't really know. I don't really know because that's a nice framing. I like that question because it makes me want to frame out like a nice argument and some steps and way to do that. But as of right now, I don't know. But what I can say is that gaming culture is right to have Black joy as part of the very fabric in which a game is breathed from. Right? It's the whole expression of cooking with love. Right? Love is not necessarily a tangible object in and of itself to be input into something, but you can definitely tell that, oh wow, this cake tastes amazing, right? Even if it's the same recipe compared to someone else's. So how is Black joy can be a way to think through or way to navigate character design? I'm not sure yet, but hopefully my presentation gave a few kind of hints in there in order to do that. All right. What do you know / think of about gaming companies in Africa, like Kiro Studio based in Cameroon? Actually send that information to me. Please send that information to me. I'm actually unaware about different spaces of game development across like across the pond, right? International waters. I'm aware that there is a burgeoning gaming scene in Africa. I'm just unaware about like how many how many game development studios there are, those kinds of details. So this would be great for me to know about. So please send this information my way. One of the things that I would love to do as far as my work and my scholarship is to really dive into Black joy, not just in a US based model, but also international. And I think there's still a lot of things, even for me, there's still a lot of things that I wanted to address in this presentation that just could not find the time to at the moment. But I would like to expand my work beyond just at home in the US, but also internationally as well. So yeah, please send this information to me. I would love to learn more. All right, I think I got through all the questions, which I applaud myself for finally being able to do all of that. If you have any more questions, then I'll just wait to see if anyone has any more questions for the next minute or so. But I just want to say thank you to everyone that is here, that supported my work by just showing up. I greatly appreciate it. Your questions have definitely had me thinking about Black joy as a framework for character design for sure, and also thinking about Black joy outside a US centric framing, which I believe is very, very important. But of course, context matters, so therefore I would love to do that work in which to situate a burgeoning like African gaming company scene based in Africa and the struggles or hurdles that they had to go through to probably break out beyond just Africa. Because more than likely there is a reason why I don't know many African companies. So, but yeah, so I don't see any more questions. So if there's no more questions, then I just want to say one more time, thank you to everyone being here. I greatly appreciate it. I will scroll back to my information once this, okay, there we go. Scroll back to this. Please feel free to contact me via Twitter, via Instagram, or at my blog. You can also read my poetry. So just like Dr. Javon Johnson, I too write poetry. And yes, someone just posed a question to me about panels. I am on one more panel for tomorrow at 10 a.m. It's entitled Writing While Life Rolls You Over. There we go. So I'll be on one more panel. That is at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So 10 a.m. Sunday, gaming out, Writing While Life Rolls You Over. By all means, things have definitely gone a little sideways for me personally. So I decided to join that panel. So I can't wait for that. So by all means, again, please reach out to me if you ever have questions, even beyond Black joy. If you have questions related to just gaming culture in general, please let me know. I always love learning more about gaming culture as best as possible. Going to be on the Discord too seems natural. I think I probably have some time to hop into the Discord. So if you want to chat with me in the Discord, I will be there momentarily. Happy to be a part of that. All right, everyone. Thank you for being here and have a fantastic day.